بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. So next chapter is going to start like Bab al-Aniya, the chapter of vessels and utensils. لا يجوز استعمال آنية الذهب والفضة. This is Bab al-Aniya, basically the chapter of vessels and utensils, right? So لا يجوز استعمال آنية الذهب والفضة في طهارة ولا غيرها لما روى حذيفة أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا تشربوا في آنية الذهب والفضة ولا تأكلوا في صحافها فإنها لهم في الدنيا ولكم في الآخرة. وحكم المضبب المطلي بهما حكمهما إلا أن تكون الضبة يسيرة قليلة من الفضة. So he's saying that the Prophet ﷺ says not lawful to use gold or silver vessels for purification or otherwise, like for example like eating or storing goods and stuff like that. And this is based on the statement of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, do not drink from gold or silver vessels and do not eat from dishes made of them, for they are for the basically unbelievers or non-believers in this world, in this life, and it's for you in the hereafter, right? And then he said the ruling of vessels soldered, when you like put plated or fixing cracks, is the same as the ruling for gold and silver, basically, except he said with a small amount of silver sometimes, and also in other cases besides the utensils. There's certain instances where gold was permitted. Like the one of the companions, his nose was missing, and he tried to use a silver, object to cover as his nose, and it kept getting infected or it wasn't doing the job. So he asked the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ gave him permission to use gold. So if there's no other material, to use to substitute, then that's acceptable. But however, for eating utensils and utensils of storage and these type of things, we're not supposed to use gold or silver.
How about for eating itself? I know sometimes they do in food itself, they have a thin plating of silver or gold flakes or something.
Yeah, in terms of eating itself, the substance is considered pure, obviously. However, I don't know if it would be beneficial health-wise, and also I don't know if it would be considered from the israf, basically spending extravagant amount of money on something that doesn't really fulfill a purpose. It's like you're throwing away money. So Allah knows best. Yeah. So these type of utensils, the scholars differ in terms of, is it because of the gold and silver in of itself, it's not permissible to use these type of utensils, or does it mean because the gold and silver is something expensive and it's also considered from the israf? If you're drinking and eating out of gold and silver vessels and you have neighbors that don't even have enough to buy food with, right? Isn't that considered you're hurting you're kind of being arrogant and then hurting their feelings, right? So they differ amongst this, and the ones that say that it's specifically gold and silver for a reason that we don't know, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, we just accept it, that's for non-believers in this world and for us in the hereafter. And you find others, so they'll say that, for example, if you have a diamond-plated goblet or a platinum plate or something like that, which might be even more expensive, they're saying it's permissible. To those that say that's not for that reason, that it's for extravagant, for israf. And the other scholars that say that it is for that reason because it hurts the feelings of the poor and it's like you're wasting money and you're spending it on unnecessary things, then they'll say that the same reasoning applies to those type of other extravagant materials. And Allah knows best. And the mission or the life goal of a Muslim basically is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and get to the Jannah in the next life, right? So you don't want to become too attached to the world and the material world, right? These type of things are having all this type of gold and showing off and goblets and spending all this money on material goods while other people are suffering from starvation and not having proper clothing or proper housing. It doesn't sit well with a Muslim. He's more concerned about trying to help others in this world so he can please Allah and get to a nicer place in Jannah, right? So that's one of the also the reasons scholars mentioned that not to, become enthralled by the material world. The next chapter, the gold. So yeah, gold plating and silver plating. Scholars say that the same rule applies, right? As long as it's really from gold or really from silver. Wallahu a'lam. ويجوز استعمال سائر الآنية الطاهرة واتخاذها استعمال أواني أهل الكتاب وثيابهم وما لم تعلم نجاستها. He says also it's permissible to use all other types of pure vessels. So that's why I was saying that other group of scholars, whatever it is besides gold and silver, it's pure substance, it's okay to use it. And to possess them and to keep them, use them for storage, for example, and other types of reasons. Also he says the vessels of the people of the book are considered, and their clothing are considered to be permissible to use, as long as you don't know that they are najis, Like if you know for a fact that this plate was used for serving swine, or alcohol, or these type of things, then you'd have to. It's preferable not to use them at all if you don't have to. But if you have to, then you should wash them, right?
I say, like, how about when you go to a restaurant? Say the glass they serve you something in, or like the actual plate.
So in the restaurants in general, it's preferred not to eat in restaurants that serve pork or alcohol if you can avoid it. If you do eat in those type of restaurants, then usually they wash the dishes. So inshallah it would go under the category of being washed and purified. Wallahu a'lam. The Prophet ﷺ also, like, he would eat from the utensils of the people of the book and other non-Muslims as well. If they were giving him a gift or a plates of food or something like that, he'd eat from it, and he wouldn't ask about was this plate used for najis or not, like that. Because the general ruling is you assume that it's pure unless you have evidence that it's not pure. Like you're sure that there's some impurities on it, they use it for impurities, then you can go ahead and wash it or not use it. But in general you assume that it's pure, right? To make it easy for the people.
Oh, sorry, but what about like at restaurants? Allahu alam what happens in the back.
Right.
So when it comes to like say you they're grilling something and then whatever they use.
The same grill for different meats.
Yeah, so that's why a lot of scholars they would advise not eating in those type of restaurants, because you have doubt with your food, and one of the reasons the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the du'as are not accepted is when a person eats from non-halal sources, right? So, like, we should try our best to, I'm not saying, haram or anything like that. Like in general, inshallah, hopefully you can assume that they use different grills for non-pork products or different plates, or they wash the plates, stuff like that. But if you know for a fact that they cook the pork and the other meats on the same grill itself, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. That's why I try to eat. Personally, I'm not saying for everybody, but personally, I try to eat in like, Muslim-owned restaurants or halal restaurants or organic restaurants that don't serve pork, right? Or vegetarian restaurants or seafood, stuff like that. We have, alhamdulillah, so many things that's permissible for us. Or learn how to cook at home, whatever's. Also, sorry, I know a couple of people that work in the restaurant industry, like their whole lives, and they told me don't eat in restaurants. That's just their general. Allahu a'lam. Yeah, subhanallah. No.
Well, I was gonna ask you about like veganism.
Yeah.
I was told that that's not. I was told that was haram. Is that? Can you expand on that? Or?
I can't say it's haram because unless you say that you have to do this or that's like part of worship, but if you're just doing it in terms of like health reasons, you want to eat healthier, eat vegetarian, eat vegan, but you don't force it on other people and you don't say it's wrong to eat meat, then I don't see anything, wrong with that. Except the only thing is like on Eid, for example, it's sunnah to eat meat, and the prophets, they ate meat, they served meat, they ate meat. But like in our history, the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't eat much meat, and the Sahaba didn't eat much meat. They would eat it like, sparingly. Unfortunately nowadays, like people eat meat every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, and they won't consider that they've eaten except they have some meat with it. But that's not that's not too healthy. Vegetarianism, veganism, these type of things, they help you kind of slow down on that at least, right? Maybe try. And this like subhanAllah, I heard a narration that Aisha radiallahu anha, she said that the first bid'ah that came into this ummah was that the people used to stuff their bellies. Like the first bad innovation that came to the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was that people would eat to their full. So the Sahaba in general never ate to their full. They weren't focused on like food all the time. Now it's like part of the culture that's like a main part of it. Many people spend a large portion of their income on eating, restaurants and groceries and all these type of things. So as a Muslim we should try to eat healthier, eat more beneficial stuff for our body, following the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Umar radiallahu anhu used to say, "نحن قوم لا نأكل حتى نجوع, وإذا أكلنا لا نشبع." That we're a people that don't eat until we're hungry, and when we eat, we don't stuff ourselves, we don't fill ourselves, we don't eat till we're full. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, leave a third, for the food, a third for the drink, and a third for, breathing. And he said, the worst vessel you can fill is your stomach. Subhanallah. So, that's a side point, but alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair for bringing it up. Yeah. Pause here. Inshallah, next week we can do what are the pure or impure parts of the dead animal. Jazakumullah khair. So, jazakumullah khair. Barakallahu feek. Subhanakallah bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.